Welcome to the Late Night Gamer and Antarctica 1911. In the race for the South Pole, Amundsen versus Scott. A card game from Looping Games, or a card-driven game I should say from Looping Games. It plays in a short amount of time. For 2 players, recommended age groups are 10 and plus. So let's see what's in the box. Well, I already opened it of course, and what you get is a map, Scott in blue and Amundsen in red. They'll start on the boats and they will race for the South Pole. You also get a bunch of cards like this with different symbols on it that drives the game. I will take a moment to explain them a little bit later. You get cards depicting the bold expeditioners themselves, the explorers. Okay. And here is Amundsen and Scott. On the back side are all the game rules in symbols. So Amundsen and Scott. So this game also comes with a bunch of, well, they call them expansions. They are really just small additions to the game. One of them are the patrons, where each of the expeditions gets a helper with different abilities. Patrons. We also have some weather effects, where you draw a card and you roll a die and you determine the weather effect, which is resolved immediately. Now, it's not the same, they look just similar, but they are not identical, so you need to shuffle them and place them face down somewhere. Now when you reach the South Pole, the game is over unless you have decided for the Way Back expansion, in where you will backtrack from the South Pole to the ships again. So halfway through the game then we'll flip the board and we'll play back again as well. Okay, the Way Back again also includes these 10 cards which are randomly shuffled into the deck to help the way back, including 2 of the ships from and Terra Nova, which are required for the final step. So the cards determine the actions you can take. When you get a card, when you want to move, you need to play a movement card with one of these footprints with the correct color. So, for instance, Amundsen needs this to play this red footprint card in order to get to this space when it's his turn. Now if he, in addition to this red card, plays 2 yellow cards, he can actually go 2 steps, and if in addition he plays 2 green, he can actually go 3 steps. And in this case, if he also plays 2 red ones, he can go 4 steps. That's all of his 7 cards hand limit. 1 for the first, then 2 for the subsequent steps. In addition, there's some Greenland dogs in the deck, and they are wild cards for the Norwegian player or Amundsen only. Scott cannot use these cards. But Scott has, instead, he has these Mongolian horses which only he can use as wild cards. So if Scott decides to play 2 of these crevasse cards, these ice crack cards, he will throw Amundsen off the track. And Amundsen will be forced to move into one of these question mark symbols. Now he cannot continue until he's back on track, and he needs to get back on track by playing a color card, regardless of symbol. He could play a green color card to move to this space, or he could play a yellow colored to go to this space, or a red color card to get to this space. But obviously he would like to get as close to his position as possible. Amundsen cannot use the crevasse, but he can use the blizzard for the same purpose, throwing Scott off the track, and the same rule applies for him to get back on track. In the deck there are also some other cards, for instance this compass, which will move you 1 step forward if you are below the 85th parallel. You can see the compass symbol here. Here's the compass symbol. If you're below that, the compass will move you one step further up the track. If you're above this parallel, the compass will move you one step back. You cannot discard a compass. If you get it on your hand, you need to play it, and you cannot come to the South Pole with a compass in your hand, so you need to get rid of it. And it will draw you to the magnetic South Pole, which is not the same as the actual geographical South Pole. The final step, you need one of each color, one moving card of each color. We will have a card offering with 3 cards, like this. And during your turn, you can either take the rightmost card, and the cards will shift, and the offering will replenish, or you can decide to discard 1 card and take 2 cards, or you could discard 3 cards to take all 3 cards in the offering. Now when the deck is empty and everything, so now when the deck is empty, we'll reshuffle the deck and it'll start again. But if the deck empties for the second time, both explorers will freeze to death in Antarctica. So let's set up the game. That's very, very easy. Okay, so let's see what kind of patrons they will have. Amundsen will get, he will get this guy, Michael Bjornetsson, which I can tell you is not a Norwegian name for sure, and actually none of the names here are Norwegian at all. Øte Pettersson, Anna Karbunsen, and Ferry Listenberg. It seems like a mixture of German and Swedish, to be honest, but okay. That's practically the only complaint I have about this game. So that's not much. And this is a nice patron for Amundsen because it will allow him to start not on his ship but on the first space. Scott, let's see who he'll get. The English names are better. He'll get Marvin McRae, and Marvin will eliminate the 2 first dogs that comes into play. Dogs are, if you remember, the wild cards of Amundsen. So when the 2 dogs come into play, 2 first one, they will be gone. Every time an explorer crosses is the first to cross the parallel, the 75th, the 80th, the 85th and the 88th, we will draw a weather card, roll the die and resolve its effect. Okay, so these patrons we don't use, they go back in the box. Okay, I think we are ready to start, and we will determine randomly who will start. Let's just check it up and take one of the explorers. It's Amundsen, he goes first, and Scott is still on board Terra Nova looking for his stuff. They will both have 1 card in their hand, and this is the offering.